This is Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkel.
Welcome back to Inside the Wolf's Den with your hosts, Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkel. We are here with another episode, a new year, 2024.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes, Happy New Year. I'm excited to see what's ahead this year. And on this episode, we're going to talk a lot about what's to come in 2024, market predictions. Shawn and Joni had a crystal ball. Where is it headed, right?
And this is just our opinion, but I think we're titling this "Navigating a Shifting Landscape," and so it's. I think for both you and I, it's nice to bury 2023 and step into a new chapter in
Absolutely,
year, right?
Yes. I would have to agree with you on that. It's definitely been an unusual year for sure, right?
Yes.
With the interest rates, the market changes, and just sales plummeted, fell off a cliff.
Correct. And then even for us, like we had, things to settle and business disputes and stuff. So it was nice to just get all that done, all that resolved, and just put it all behind us. Mm-hmm. So we're excited about 2024. Even there's going to be some challenges. There's going to be some bumps, just like any other year. But I think I feel like there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, and I think that for everybody that's listening to this and is in the real estate space, I give you a lot of credit for hanging in there because it was a challenging year. And if you're still standing, you did a good job. Yeah. So pat yourself on the back a little bit, right?
So there's that, you hear that on social or different places, survive till 25. And so that was definitely the motto last year was just, hey, just
and it
just
definitely
survive.
felt like that.
And I think there's still some of that this year about still surviving until 25. I don't think we're out of the woodworks and who knows what this year will bring and what challenges, but it's going to be an interesting year again because of elections and all that's going on.
Yes, it is, but I do believe that, there is light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to see, sales again, those sorts of things. And so interest rates are going to drop maybe some. So I think we're headed in the right direction.
Correct. So if anybody's been living under a rock, 2023, interest rates rose at probably the highest rate, I think. I don't know if it's ever, but it's one of the highest time. They rose faster than they almost ever have in a short period of time, and so it definitely put a restriction on and caused people to pause. I think more than anything, and just like sit back and like wait, and it was also right after a time when we hit the lowest mortgage interest rates ever. So like people were used to 2% and 3% mortgages, and then all of a sudden we shot up to 8%.
Everybody's freaking out
within a year period, and they're like, "Well, I'm not going to buy a home now." Mm-hmm. And so there's that whole
And I think we go off emotion too, and so we're listening to the media. We're painting a bad picture everywhere, and so people are like, "Man, what do I do? Right? Do I just sit and wait for it to the interest rates to go down, or what should I do?" And so I think there's a lot of emotion that's played into this as well. Yeah,
I think more than ever before. If you remember 08 and 09, when we lived through that, we lived in real estate, and then we also lived the what did they call the 2000, the dot bomb, .com, bomb, whatever, period two. It was just weird times. But what was different about, I think, right today is we can get, there's a lot of clickbait. There's so much social media. There's so much noise.
Right.
Everything before, like you couldn't lift up your phone and just read tons of stories instantly, right? Before it was like you'd have to go watch the news or you'd have to listen to the radio.
Right.
We weren't getting everything so rapid as we do today. And so,
I agree.
There's a lot of there's contradicting messages.
Yeah.
There's even out of the same news media outlets. There's, one day you'll read that the world's going to fall apart. The next day it's like, oh, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Then it's like mortgage rates going to fall. And then they're coming up, and it's like, it's just back and forth. So you really don't know. And I think and they're just selling, they're trying to get eyeballs, and they're just trying to get you to click, to read and all that. And so
even when interest rates were at 15% way back, they're like, oh, we'll never see rates, that low again. And it's just all about perception, right?
So I think, it's something you can learn from that is just, hey, talk to the people that are actually in the space, in the market you're working or in the area, and really talk to the experts, talk to the mortgage companies, talk to the real estate investors, the mortgage brokers, the real estate brokers, and really find out what's going on, what's happening in your market, what's changing. But it's been a wild year. The biggest thing was the biggest surprise, I think, to the majority of us was sales just completely plummeted. So the amount of sales transactions dropped dramatically. Which hurt a lot of realtors, hurt a lot of mortgage companies. Refis pretty much stopped, I think, for a lot of mortgage companies. So it was just, it's been a weird time. But the odd thing about that is that same thing happened in 2008, 7, but real estate prices fell off a cliff too, and really plummeted as well, where
in this case, they increased.
They increased or held.
Yeah.
And so it was a weird time where you see prices holding while at the same time sales and transactions are dropping dramatically. And so that's what really made this year weird, an odd year. And that was really because there wasn't enough inventory in the market. So because people had interest rates at 2 to 3% or 4%, and like the majority, like over 80% had it under 4 or 5%. The people that had a mortgage. So why are they going to sell, even if they really need to, or if they need more space? Yeah.
They love the rate, not the house, right?
Well, they're going to sit on it for a while. So it's like, why am I going to give up something like that and then go into a 7-8% mortgage? I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to sit put.
Exactly.
So you didn't see the homes listed like you normally would, especially through the summertime of 2023. You just didn't see that. And so everything just kind of sat. And it's still a tough time to build. We've been building homes all year, and it was still interesting times. The one silver lining that I think that, and we're going to talk about this in what we're speaking about today, but so you could, builders were buying down rates to get sales. And so like you could buy, we were approached by a lot of lenders to do like mortgage blocks. And so you could buy a certain amount of mortgage. You would have to guarantee a certain amount of mortgages that you would originate by your sales of your properties. And they would lock you into a pretty low rate, so you could start advertising, rates in the 5s, low 6s, even when we were up at 8%. So what that means is like people could come in and get a mortgage through your lender, and get a low interest rate. So that's what a lot of builders are doing, was buying down the rate for you, and sales happened. So builders that were able to do that didn't move a lot of product because they're the only ones that had product, because they were creating their inventory. And so what you were seeing is if you could get the rates into the 5s, people were pulling the trigger. People were stepping up and saying, yeah, I'll get a mortgage at 5%. So I think it's been tested and shown that if we can get rates into the 5s in the future, I think we're going to have a pretty healthy sales market.
I agree. And there's just the market out there for, buyers is huge. The demand is huge.
Yeah. And so that's what we want to talk about for 2024 is the buyer demand. It's there. It's just people are waiting to get, I think, the right rate and being forced to.
Yeah. But I also think too, like, all right, we sat for a little bit, we waited, right? And people waited, but life happens. Things happen. People have to move. People are going to get divorces, right? Those sorts of things they're going to have to sell at some point.
Correct.
And so that's going to open that up as well.
Yeah. So there's life circumstances of people that are forced to move. And let's get into that a little bit. But so just some statistics that I had prepared for this show was that there's 72 million millennials in the market. And the average age of a first-time home buyer in America today right now is 33 years old, which happens to be the average age of a millennial. So that millennial, I think, is like 27 to 40 or something like that. And so like the average age is at 33, 35. So the millennials, the majority or average of them is right at that peak first-time home buyer age right now. And there's 72 million of them.
Right.
So there's a lot of millennials that are looking to buy a home. And we used to say that, millennials don't want to own, they just want to rent. They're not into it. But now that they're starting to have families, they're going to want to buy. They're starting to grow up.
Absolutely.
And they got good jobs and good income. And the economy's really held. So job market has really, done well throughout all the adversity in 2023. So they have good jobs, good paying income. And so they're ready to buy a home. And so I think there's a big group of people that are ready to buy a home, that are looking. They're just waiting for the rate to be at the right time and for them to make that move.
Exactly.
And then there's a massive pent up demand or desire for people that, okay, I stayed put because I had COVID hit. I had to be forced to, lock myself in my home. I've been in there. Then interest rates dropped, and I refinanced and got a 2% mortgage, 3%, and then they rose so quickly. I've been in this home now 3-4 years.
And I want to move.
Yeah. I want to be closer to my job. I had 2 extra kids during COVID.
Or they relocated. Things happen.
Yeah. And so I think you're seeing a lot of people that are just waiting to list their home and buy a new home. So,
right. So, and that's the reason why I think this in 2024, we're going to see a lot more of that.
Yeah. So. There's just a ton of demand on the fence right now, or on the sidelines, that are ready, anxious to buy. So I think the demand's there. You're also seeing a lot of baby boomers that are relocating to be closer to family. So my parents are in that generation. As they get older, as they have health issues, they're wanting to be closer to their kids. So, I know my parents are going to be one of those people that are going to be listing their home this year and moving to another state and buying another home. So they're right in that. So there's a ton of baby boomers, and it's crazy because all my parents' friends, they're all moving or buying homes to be closer to family or to incorporate their family.
Right.
So they're buying homes that you can have multi-generation
exactly.
in one.
Yeah.
So you're seeing a lot of that. You're seeing a lot of vacation homes where they can people can work from home, and they're choosing to buy a vacation home or a home. People need more space now. A lot of the workforce is working from home, so they need that extra room, and they're looking to buy a home that accommodate that, and the living situation is ideal for that. So again, there's a bunch of buyers that are ready to buy. So I think what is promising about this year is that the demand is there if we can just get the inventory, if we can just get the rates.
Which I think we're still going to have an inventory shortage. I mean, we've had that pre-COVID, right? But that's definitely going to help a bit. Yeah,
the building, we've always been behind on the curve as far as building new homes. So I think, yes, to answer your question too, once the demand really picks up again, we're probably going to have multi bidding scenarios.
You're still having that right now, multiple offer scenarios. Markets. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what we're seeing and predicting, the Fed has chose to, stall their gun ho on getting that 2%, which it's showing promising signs that we're almost there. I think we're getting really close. And so for this year, this is just our opinion, but I think we'll see a couple rate cuts this year. If you look at history, the Fed, when they get closer to elections, kind of pause because they're waiting to see who's going to be elected and who, and what they're going to have to do. And
always happens.
So they're gonna pause, I believe, for once it gets closer. But until we get there, I think there's going to be some political push, and there's going to be, I think, reasons that they're going to push them to go ahead and cut rates and do that. So now mortgage rates doesn't necessarily based upon the Fed rate, but it does impact a lot of different scenarios in that. And really the mortgage rates are based upon the 10-year treasury. And what we've seen starting the new year is that the 10-year treasury is finally dropping. And part of that's been the market is anticipating the Fed cutting the rate this year.
Right.
And so that's causing the 10-year treasury to drop, which is lowering mortgage rates. So at the start of this year, 2024, we're starting to see rates in the upper 6s, which it finally broke 7. Thank God.
So there is light at the end of the tunnel, guys. Hang in there.
We just feel that by the end so we'll see a couple Fed rate cuts. I think the mortgage rates will drop to the lower 6s by the end of the year. I think is fair. And I think something to be optimistic for. I think that's where we're going to end. And then we're really shooting for and hoping that we drop below 6s next year after elections are done, after we start in a year. hopefully in 2025, you'll see rates drop below 6 and get into the 5s. And then I think that's really 2025 is going to be a really great year for sales. So that's kind of what we're seeing. And that's what, and a lot of the people we listen to and respect, and they're all saying the same thing. And so, again, a couple rate cuts this year, whether that be 1, 2, 3. I don't think you're going to see more than 3, but I think that's what we'll see this year. And then when it gets closer to July and all that, you probably won't see the Fed do much at all anymore after that. So, and then you'll see mortgage rates start to drop. So, as far as sales go and property, real estate sales, I think it's going to be a little bit of survival in the first 6 months. And then in Q3 and Q4, you'll start to see sales really pick up. Probably summertime, end of the summer, you'll start to see things heat up again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so especially as rates get closer to lower 6s, I think you'll see some potential for the market to take off.
I agree.
You agree?
Yep, absolutely. Let's talk about the rental market, because I have some concerns there, right?
Yeah.
When as interest rates drop and we got buyers buying properties, what does that mean for the rental market?
So tell me.
Well, I have some concerns that, we're already having some issues, getting our properties leased out quickly. And so I think we are going to see that more when buyers come out to buy. Yeah.
So I think also, if you haven't been living under a rock, that rents have dramatically increased over the last 2 years.
Yep.
So rental rates have done very well. They stabilized and they kind of flattened out. But that's caused some of the inflation numbers is because of the rental prices have really dramatically increased. But they've gotten to a price where it's expensive, right? Yeah. It's very expensive to even rent a home now.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So if that's another push, is a lot of people that are renting homes right now would love to buy because they, once rates can drop a little bit, I think they can qualify, and then they're going to try to get out because they're what they're paying for rent is almost as high as they
exactly.
Once rates drop. Now prices are still holding and still pretty high, but I think there's pressure because rents are so high on
I agree.
To rent homes, to rent more apartment complexes. What we've also seen is that it's softened quite a bit. As far as the rental market, there's been a lot more rentals on the market than there've been in the past.
You search just in your little area, you see how many rentals come up, right? And so there's more competition. So your rental better look good and be priced right. And that's the key right there. And that's something that we've had to really, really educate our investors, educate our tenants too, because we want to try to retain our tenants as much as possible, and it's going to be more expensive for them to move too. So we're doing a lot of that, but educate your investors for sure. I think that in the next coming months, what we've been doing is having vacancy, or we have a vacancy management plan that we've kind of rolled out just to kind of let investors know, prices have increased, but rather than your property sitting on the market for months at a time, let's lower it a bit so we can get somebody in.
Correct. It's been it's been an interesting time. There's been a lot of building of new construction apartment complexes, massive subdivisions of build to rent, especially in the areas that we operate in Houston and Texas, and then New Mexico. You've seen a lot of new construction multifamily that has come on the market. You've seen a lot of build to rent product that's come on the market, and so it's forced prices to come down. So like on some of our multifamily stuff that we manage, they're C, B class properties, and you got all this A class that's offering massive incentives and all that. It's like, well, I understand there's pressure to lease up your property, and you ran your numbers and performance based upon certain things, but man, things have changed, and you got to adjust to that. Because we're competing against a brand new complex down the road that is nicer than yours, and we can't be the same price, and we can't offer the same incentives. So there's definitely push. There's pressure and rents are being a little bit pushed down. And so you just got to be really creative, very aggressive, very on top of it, and really monitor.
Which we did do an episode, I think a couple episodes back, on how you can get creative in leasing out your properties quickly. And so look out for that episode. I think it was 187-ish.
Yeah. And we're coming out of a slow leasing time, and that's part of it also is it's winter. And we're kind of not used to that. Hey, winters are usually pretty slow. And so I think people forget about that. So things will pick up, but it's going to be a softer real estate rental market than probably it's been in the past.
So I think you really need to be realistic on your expectations there.
Yeah. And as people start to buy again and sales start to really pick up, that means people are going to be moving out of some of your rentals. And so there's going to be some vacancies and things that can happen there. So
which something that we've been doing is trying to retain our residents a little longer. And so offering incentives to them as well, right? Maybe, just like you do half off the first month, you offer them the same incentives and educate them on how much it's going to cost them to move as well to try to retain them a little longer.
Yeah. So I guess just to conclude is, we're encouraging everybody to stay informed, adapt, when you need to.
Watch who you listen to.
Yeah, but survive the next, 6 months, first half of this year, and be cautious. Again, it goes back to the well-built businesses, the ones that have good operators, good people, good processes, good product. Are the ones that are going to survive. So
and customer experience, right?
Yeah, provide good customer service, a customer experience, but they just do a good job. Now's not the time to put a Band-Aid on it, skip steps. Now's the time to put out really good product, offer a great client experience, and then have good processes and team to back up the back end of it. I think those are the people that are gonna thrive and will continue to survive. And down the road, this year is especially included, there's gonna be some opportunities. I think there's gonna be some opportunities in the in the multifamily space. Maybe some people that got in trouble. I think there'll continue to be some opportunity there. I think there'll be some opportunity in the single family space as well. So the people that
There's
are
always
ready,
going to be opportunity, right?
No matter what, up or down.
Yes.
So I think take advantage of it.
Be smart about it.
And even in the property management space, if you listen to this show, I think we're really optimistic, and we've set our goals for this year, and we're expecting to grow quite a bit. So we're excited about what it's going to have its challenges. It's going to be harder. There's going to be a lot more properties to lease up and stuff like that. But we're looking forward to the challenge and ready to attack 2024. So hope that helped. Hope that it provided some insight, maybe some hope for this year, and hope we help you navigate the shifting landscape and what you're going to do in your own business and your own investment future. So we'll see you all next week. Otherwise, Happy New Year.
See you, everyone.
You've been listening to Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkel. Tons of entrepreneurial podcasts are out there. Talking. But Joni and Shawn are living it every single day. Their portfolio now includes many franchises and medium-sized businesses. We talk about the trials and motivators of successfully running a business. Join us again soon for another podcast. But until then, reach out on the website at InsideTheWolfsDen.com, on Facebook at Inside the Wolf's Den, on Instagram at Inside the Wolf Den. We'll see you again soon. This is Inside the Wolf's Den. We'll see you next time.